Yo, how is everybody doing? Can you guys hear me okay? Sweet. Looks like the audio is good. All right, this is going to be fun. Can't wait to solve some problems live. All right, let me go through these comments. Would it be awesome to discover an automation that we can implement in an AI automation agency? There is at least one thing that I'm going to build today that you might be able to use. From Diego, hey Tony, thanks for the workshop. Maybe something related to warming up enriching leads with news from the web using AI/RAG. Not sure this would be within the scope. Maybe in the scope. It depends on what you mean by enriching leads and or warming them up. Are you trying to use information that you already have on them? It sounds like you're trying to use news from the web to help enrich the leads. So it depends on what that news is. But yeah, if anyone else has any suggestions, requests, I can definitely take those and build with that. So scraping the web and using the news. So if you're referring to something like, oh, this person in our CRM has expressed interest in this industry. Maybe it's like um, kitchen appliances, and maybe what you're doing is you're stalking some sort of news outlet that has information on kitchen appliances, then yeah, there's an automation there for sure. Using AI to automatically fill out forms and add information to various areas within a CRM. You know, that's actually a pretty good topic because I just did this the other day. So I can actually demonstrate what I did and how I did that. Let's actually just do that then, because there's probably some information there. All right, so Ross, we're gonna go through your suggestion because I've got some ideas about that. So a couple months ago, we did this automation checklist where we basically said, "Hey, people who follow, you probably need a robot. Um, we want to hear about your biggest pain points and what you're struggling with at work. What are you spending all of your man hours on? What repetitive tasks are you doing, et cetera, et cetera." And we'll give you like an automation checklist of things that you should build, probably. And so we sent that out as a little form, and then I used actually AI to generate the responses. And here in this Airtable, you can actually see some of these responses that we were able to generate. This is actually, that's a filtered down view. Hopefully, I'm gonna blur this scene real quick so that I don't accidentally expose some information that shouldn't be exposed. And it's a good thing I did that because there's quite a bit of personal info here. So let me go ahead and make that not as visible. And then I will re-expose. Okay. So we got about like 500 responses on this. And the thought process was, okay, they're going to give us an industry, they're going to give us their biggest pain point, and they're going to give us all of the tools that they're using. And we're going to automatically generate with AI a potential solution to that big pain point, as well as a whole bunch of um, other potential automation tasks that they can do. So if this is something that you're interested in getting, this is also still running. I will actually share that form with you all right now. So in the chat, I'm going to drop a link to that form. Go ahead and fill that out, and you'll get a free automation checklist as well. Basically, we just asked for a few fields, and then we automatically generated everything that we needed for that newsletter send. So to answer your question, Ross, that was kind of that's what we're doing to enrich leads. We take some seed information and then generate some, like a checklist or anything that we use for our mailer. So that's something that we did. I don't know if that answers your question, but Airtable for us is practically our CRM. And so we just took some info, made some more info, and then sent that out to them as a mailer. I can also go through some other strategic things that we've done with that as well. Because after I created this, there was a need for us to reach out to a few of these people, and so we also did some fun AI stuff around that to properly word the email in a way that's grammatically correct, and then send that out. So it looks personalized, but it is personalized, but it's also, we did it at scale, and so I didn't have to actually write out each individual email. It was just like we just had AI generate the necessary pieces, and then we plugged it in, and we sent that off. But if anyone has any more specific questions, like how do we do, like if the best way to ask this question would be like, hey, I have this workflow in my business. We use these tools, and this is my problem. If anyone here wants to frame a question in that way, I can definitely run with that. So I'll give you guys a few minutes here, and then if I don't hear anything, there is something that I do want to build and do want to show you guys, but I'm going to give you guys like a couple minutes here. Also, where is everybody currently joining us from? Where do you guys live? What are your coordinates? Nashville, Tennessee. Argentina, awesome. Paris, ooh. Brazil, oh man. All across the world. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and need the zip code also, Cake Eater. Coordinates are best, I can derive the zip code from the coordinates. So just go ahead and drop those in the chat. Can you use Airtable, Chicago, nice. Can you use that Airtable data to flow into Salesforce and to fill out something like an account application, DocuSign? Yeah, probably. So that Airtable data, we can pretty much plug into anything. So it kind of depends on what your Salesforce needs. Okay, let me just try to draw something out so I can like help you visualize. So Airtable has, all sorts of data. We've got like name, email, maybe coordinates, and then who knows, like industry, right? So we have all these different sources of data, and we can pretty much do whatever we want with this. So let's say you've got a Salesforce box here, and in Salesforce, you've got name, phone, email, industry, maybe also like, I don't know, date of birth. Right, you have all this your Salesforce schema, this structure, the way it's laid out is in such a way, it is not so hard to just connect the two where you can. And this is very, very much doable. So like, let's say I am building something like this. I can be like, oh, okay, well, like my Airtable. Sorry, my computer is a potato. All right, I'm going to go ahead and need you to, okay, cool. And then so I can say something like search a record. Sweet, awesome. It just ignored me. All right. Hopefully this filter doesn't take forever this time, but it definitely looks like it is. Okay, cool. So like, if I have all of my data in Airtable, I can pretty much select whatever it is that I need. Awesome. Why is that the case? Failed to load data. Maybe I can just demo it. Sure. Well, that's never happened to me before. Okay, maybe we just go abstract. So, okay, if I've got Airtable and I have certain data fields and I have a Salesforce account with other data fields, it's pretty trivial to select which data fields you want, pipe them into the platform that you want. In this case, that's Salesforce. And then from Salesforce, to extract the fields you need to put into an account application such as DocuSign. So if we know that DocuSign requires, I spelled that right. If we know that DocuSign requires a name, email, and a date of birth, and a signature, which I guess they'll do like when they actually fill it out, then it's easy because we know that we have the name, we know that we have the email, we know that we have the date of birth, unless like you don't collect it here, in which case you don't have the date of birth. And then we know that they have, we know that they're going to give us their signature. So if your goal is to find or extract the date of birth without having to ask for it, I'm sure there are ways to do that. Either you have them fill out a form, or maybe that's public information, depending on who you're looking for and what industry you're in. I know you said you work in, actually, I don't think you mentioned where you work, Ross, but perhaps you're in some sort of intelligence agency. Maybe that information is accessible to you. It would be pretty easy to, like, let's say you're CIA, probably not, but let's say you are. So let's say, okay, so you're in personal finance. So maybe you have this information, but let's, for this demonstration, let's assume you're a CIA. So since you're CIA, you know like way more about these people, these individuals than most. So you'll have things like their name, their coordinates, their industry, their DOB, whatever. So it's quite trivial to just take that and then also add that in to your DocuSign. So you can, Airtable form, Salesforce account, fill DocuSign, send email to the client to sign. Yes, precisely. Now, the email portion is going to depend on DocuSign's own internal API. So if DocuSign has a like send email function, and then let's say they requires all of that stuff before, so name, email, DOB, SIG. It becomes pretty simple. Otherwise, if it doesn't, your alternative is your alternative is export PDF from DocuSign. DocuSign probably has something that allows you to export PDFs, signed PDFs, and then you would just send this to Gmail. Gmail, add PDF as attachment. And that's how you would automate something like that. So you're just plugging in data from wherever you have it into the place that you need to put it. And then once that platform does the thing that it needs to do, in this case, generate a PDF, then you can send it out to whoever needs to see it. So Ross, I'm curious to hear about where you have your data. I know you're in personal finance. Are you using Airtable, or are you mostly using Salesforce? Like, what is your platform of choice here? Are the connections zaps? They can be. Salesforce. Okay. So the automations, can really be on any platform. So like Zapier is a really popular one, but I use make.com because, I mean, aside from Make exploding on me for no reason, it actually allows me to just, there it is. It actually just allows me to be way more flexible, because Zapier is very linear, right? So you can do it's like one after the other. It's very sequential, but Make allows for more flexibility, and I'll demonstrate that later. So you're gathering data and then you're entering data is a manual process. Well, I mean, it's 2024. That entering data should not be a manual process in any. I mean, I know that it is in certain organizations, but it doesn't need to be. Yeah, Ross, are you trying to get your clients to enter the data? What's your what do you what about WhatsApp? Any integrations with that? Yeah, I believe so. Let's see what we can do with WhatsApp. I personally haven't built much with it, but I'm happy to take a look as long as my computer decides to actually work. Cool. So we have WhatsApp Business Cloud. I'm guessing that's the enterprise version. And that's how you know I've never used WhatsApp before, because a tutorial pops up. Yeah, okay, so with WhatsApp, it looks like you can send a message, you can send a template message, you can upload some media to it, you can download some media, you can, let's see, you can activate 2FA. I don't know why you would need that. Register a sender, verify sender, deregister a sender, get a business. So there's quite a bit that you can do, but I'm guessing what you're interested in is really just this messaging portion. So you're probably interested in sending a message automatically. Probably like when something happens. Maybe like, oh, a news outlet, drops a news story, and then you want to take that news story, condense it down to, I don't know, 255 characters, and then send that out as a message. That's super doable. Okay, Ross says they fill out a profile with their name, address, email. Then we have to manually add that into their Salesforce account. Yeah, Jordan's on the money here. You definitely want to. I mean, you can even do it from Salesforce, but Airtable is really nice because Airtable allows you to just build forms for free. And I think Salesforce maybe also allows you to do that as well. But Yeah, you can just easily build a form with Airtable, pipe the results into build a form in Airtable, pipe the results into Salesforce. Maybe I said that the right way the first time. But let's model how that would work. So I'm gonna have to go through the unholy. Oh, thank God. Okay. So basically, we can say like, watch for a record. Watch for a record. And then just choose your base, whatever base that is. We'll just use this one. Actually, you know what? Let's build a whole new thing. I'm going to have to do some auth real quick. 1 second. I'm going to blur my screen. All right, in the meantime, Ross, do you want to tell me exactly how many, or not exactly, you can just ballpark it, but how many, like, how big of a problem is this for you? Like, is this something that you're spending like hours and hours doing every week, or is this more of like a 1 hour a month type of tedious task that you're just like kind of hating and but it's not really that big of a deal? Okay. We're good now. Oh, that's not the right one. Our team is, not me personally. I don't manage our Salesforce, but it's always been a headache for our team. Okay. So maybe that's something we might need to talk about privately, because this sounds like something we probably can't put on stream. To pre-populate forms for new clients. Okay, I see. So let me try and just like mock something up for you. So let's create a base. We'll call this like demo SF or Airtable to S Salesforce. We'll make it teal. So let me scroll up to that message you had earlier, which was something like, where was it? Manual redundant process. Yeah. Name, address, email. Okay, so name. We'll call this address. And this will be a single line of text. This will be email. Name, address, email. Let me close this. Name, address, email, and then name, address, email, etc. Okay, we'll just use these three for now. Delete this field to make it less confusing. And then hopefully this should populate somewhere in here. Demo AT to SF, cool. So that table that we just made, the trigger field is just going to be, oh, that's right, I have to create a field here. So this is a fun quirk. You have to make these fields the created by and last modified by, because that's kind of how, that's what they use to trigger an automation. So hopefully this will decide it wants to find the thing. Okay. These are created, yeah? Yeah. Good data, just redundant process. That's table 1. Okay. Created by, modified by. Why is it not showing? I think this just takes some time. Okay, let's just let's populate this. Let's do some demo fields. So let's say for me, moon email can be tony@tony.com. Imagine if I own that. We'll do Jordan address. He can be in Mars. Jordan will be at jordan.com. And then Ross, I'm going to put you in here. Ross, I'm going to put you on Pluto. You seem like a Pluto kind of guy. All right, so we've got some demo fields here, and we're basically going to try to pipe these into SF. Assuming that Airtable wants to cooperate with me. Okay, I guess not. Trigger field, a created time or last modified time field. This trigger won't work correctly. I guess I can try making... Oh, sorry, that's a created by. Duh. Did the wrong thing. All right, that should work. All right, sweet. So we'll do it by, actually, we'll do it by created, because that's probably the thing you're more interested in. And we'll label it by name, and we'll set the limit to 10, because sure, why not? All right, so we'll just do from all, because we put the data in before we created this. And now we want to put this into Salesforce. All right, I just gotta wait for my computer to decide to work. Awesome. Okay, I don't have a Salesforce account, so I can't actually build this, but I know enough about their API through this window right here to tell you what's possible and what's not. So we have a search records, a list search records, get a record, create a record, update a record. So my guess is that, or actually, maybe upsert a record might be better. If you're not familiar with upsert, for those not familiar with upsert, upsert seeks out a record. If it doesn't find the record, it creates one. If it does find the record, it'll update it with the information that it was going to use already to create the record. So my guess is you'll probably want to upsert a record, and then I'm guessing it's going to ask me to create a connection. I don't have a Salesforce account, so I can't do this, but basically, if you look at any other API, in this case, I have a ChatGPT account. I will show you exactly how the automation data flow looks like and what elements you can sort of pull from. So we kind of just have to wait for it to find. Awesome. So in this case, we're going to create a completion, and this doesn't really matter. I'm just trying to demonstrate like what you can do and what data you have. So I'm going to select a model, and then right here, I want you to notice that we have access to the Airtable's name, address, email created, and last modified. So that's what you're going to use to sort of pipe the data in. And so basically without this, you would just create a simple automation where it'd be Airtable and then a Salesforce and then probably to DocuSign. I know DocuSign also has a pretty robust API, so you can probably pipe the data directly into DocuSign without even really having to take info from Salesforce. You can use Airtable, enrich your leads in Salesforce, and then also, without having to take info from Salesforce, you can take info directly from the Airtable and create a, in this case, whatever document that you're trying to send out. You have envelopes, get an envelope form data, send a document to sign. That's probably what you're going to be interested in. Again, don't have a DocuSign account, so I can't show you, but your automation would probably look something like this. And that's all you would need, and that would probably save that team of yours a considerable amount of time. Hard to say how much. Again, want to emphasize that automation is really just about understanding inputs and outputs, and it doesn't have to be this super complicated thing for you to save, your team hundreds of hours a month, a year, a week, a day, 100 hours of savings per day. That's what we strive for. But that's sort of the how the process goes. Figure out what you need, figure out what you have, and then piece as much of that together as possible. Okay, if no one else has any other questions, I do want to demo this one thing. I want to show you guys how an onboarding automation works. So in this case, we're going to be updating a prospect in our CRM. That's going to trigger a workflow, which is going to generate a contract. That first invoice is also going to get generated and sent. We're going to create some Google Drive folders. We're going to set up a Slack channel. Some team members and clients get added to that Slack channel, and then we onboard them with a welcome message, a team intro, some bookmarks, and some contact links. So if anyone else has any other suggestions, say them now and let me get to them. And if not, I'm going to build this thing right now. All right, cool. Looks like I'm going to build this thing. Let's just use this. So we have an updated prospect. So let's start with Airtable. And let's actually use that table we had before. So we're going to select the proper base. We're going to select that proper table. Trigger field's going to be the same. In this case, it's going to be, since it's onboarding, we're going to want it to be filtered, the trigger field to be created because we want to know when someone joins. And then going to be from now on. So that's done. Next thing we're going to want to do is the contract is generated and sent. In this case, we're going to use Stripe. We know that Stripe has an invoice creation function. So we're going to use Stripe to do that. We're just going to have to wait for this filter to work. Cool. So first, what we have to do in Stripe is we actually have to create a customer. Because in order to send an invoice, it needs to send an invoice to a customer that we know about. Jordan, I'm going to use your Stripe for demo. Don't mind me. We know that there's a few fields here that we can plug in. So we know that email goes to email. We know that name goes to name. We know that the phone goes to, actually, we don't know where the phone goes. But we know that their address looks like this. And, maybe our address field is not as robust as we need it to be, because it looks like we need all this other information. That's fine. We're just going to leave it as is. We just need this field to create a customer so that we can plug it into the next step. So for now, I think this is okay. Next, we're going to create an invoice. So create an invoice. Customer ID. You know what? We're going to have to run this first real quick so we can get some test data in here. All right, we should have a test field there. So if I go here, nope. Oh wait, that's because I have it set to run from, choose where to start. We'll just do all. And then we'll limit this to 1. So now if I run it, sweet, there will be a new customer. We got Ross in here. We just made a new Ross customer in our Stripe account. We're going to create a new invoice right here. So we know the customer ID. So, okay. So the way this works is that once a customer gets created here in this step, in this middle step, it'll output a lot of information. So we get a customer ID, and we're going to use that customer ID right here. That's going to be super important because that's going to be who we're going to send. That's going to be how we tell Stripe who to send the invoice to. So this is going to be an invoice send, days until due. Let's give him like 5 days. And then the due date is going to be a date function, which is now. Actually, it's going to be now. Sorry, not now. We'll give it, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it'll be due on the 16th at 11:44 a.m. because why not? So that's pretty much all we're going to have to do. Let's see, there's probably some other subscription ID. Oh, okay, yeah. So we can run a search here. So the subscription ID is like what type of, it's like which invoice are we sending him? Or, sorry, that is not what that is. Send invoice. It might be pending invoice items behavior. No, it's not. Maybe it's metadata? Will it understand that you are selecting 5 days out and always do 5 days out, or will go to the date you selected? It's going to go to the date I selected, but this is also like something I can do like now. Watch, I can do like now plus, let's see, set date, add months, add days. So add days. So there's a function in make that'll be like add the number of days, which is like now. And then I think the way this function works is you have add days, you add the day, so the date and then the number. So in this case, it would be now plus 5. So now the due date will always be exactly from now plus 5 days. So you can dynamically generate that. So you can do that. Pending invoice items behavior. So we'll just add this. And then I think if we run this, let's see what we get. We get an error here because it was probably trying to send, oh, let's see, days until due. You may only specify one of these. Oh, I see. Okay. So I was actually doing way too much. So rather than have a due date set to this, you can just do days until due 5. You don't have to do any dynamic stuff. Because the way this API works is it needs one or the other. It can't be both. So we'll just set this as 5, and that should just run. Cool. So Ross, you probably have actually, yeah, Ross at ross.com. If you own ross.com, check your email. There should be an invoice there. Okay. So we've got so in 3 steps, we've generated well, we're watching for when a new customer or a new client enters into our CRM. It creates that customer in Stripe, and then we send an invoice to them in Stripe. Or sorry, we create an invoice. We'll probably have to send that invoice to them separately. And that will depend on what our output is. And it looks like, let's see, subscription details, rendering, payment settings, customer IDs, address, automatic tags. Okay, so it generates an invoice ID. So we'll probably need that to send it. Let's see if we create an invoice. Can we send one? Okay. So we're going to have to update the invoice with some information. So based on the invoice we just created, that invoice ID, oh no, that's not it. That's not it. Okay. There's probably some information about what the invoice item looks like and, oh, okay, wait, we have to add invoice items. Okay, so we have to create an invoice item on the invoice using the customer ID. This is my guess. Input an amount. So let's say by a total amount to make it real simple. Let's say the amount is $100. Oh, the integer is an amount in cents, so this will be a dollar. Currency I think defaults to US dollars. This will be like big service. And then we already have the periods sent because there's already a due date, so we're not going to need to do that. And that will create an invoice item, and I believe, ooh, this did not work. You must specify a currency or specify a price or price data. So I do have to specify a currency. Okay, USA. Oh, it's 2 characters. So it's probably US. USD, yep, that's the one. Sweet, so if I'm running this, cool, it worked. We've got a new item. Item ID is that. So now we've created an invoice item. We've also created an invoice. Let's see, does this allow me to add invoice items? Because otherwise, it's an invoice, sure, but there's no price. So my guess is that an invoice item appears on the Stripe customer's account. Okay, I'm just going to leave this as is. Maybe this is something I figure out later, but I want to continue the momentum. So next up, we have to generate some. All right, Ross, you're heading out. Thanks for tuning in. See you later. Let's also set up some Google Drive folders. All right, any day now. Sweet. So in this case, we're creating a folder. So we are going to create a folder. We're going to do my personal account. So I'm going to have to blur my screen real quick. Be right back. All right. So we're just going to make a folder probably anywhere. It's, I think this is empty. So we're going to call this new folder name something dynamic. That way we don't have to create a new folder name each time. So let's just use the name. So this will be Jordan, call it dot Mars dot, and then their email. So this will be jordan.mars.jordan@jordan.com. Whole lot of Jordans. If true, the folder is shared to anyone with the link. Otherwise, the web view works for viewers only. In this case, we are trying to share this folder that we're creating. And then the role of it is going to be a reader, actually probably a writer because it's going to be a client. And it's going to be a user that we're going to dynamically add. So we'll be sharing this drive with jordan@jordan.com. So drive gets created. Whoops. Now the next step, I just realized you guys haven't been able to see this. The next step is, so we've created the Google Drive folders. Now we have to set up the Slack channels. All right. Just keep this rolling. Plug Slack in. Wait the 20 minutes it takes to do a simple filter. Sweet, there it is. And then for Slack, we have a channels section of the API that allows us to create a channel. We're going to go ahead and create a channel. Looks like there's going to be some authentication stuff, so I'm going to blur the screen real quick. All right. So we're going to specify the name. So let's say like, let's dynamically generate this name. So let's say, let's use their name. So it'll be like Jordan underscore collab. Sure, why not? And this can be private or public, depending on what you want. Hit OK. Now, that looks pretty good. So let's keep moving. So we got the Slack channel set up, and now we have to add the team members and clients to that Slack channel. Okay, not a problem. We're just going to go ahead and drop another module here, and a little node. And in here, it should allow you to add a member. Okay, invite users to a public or private channel. So it looks like there's going to be even more authentication. Awesome. And these are actually not super data sensitive. So you can see actually what I'm doing. Just got to hit allow, and then you would select the user. So in this case, there's Jordan. We'll select Jordan, and we're going to add them to that channel we just created, which I believe we called it, this will be a map. And the reason it's a map is because the channel name is dynamic. So we'll just go down here, drop in Jordan, and I believe it was _collab. Cool. So now we've got a new channel. We've invited Jordan to the channel, and we have to now send a new message, right? Because the goal here is to create them, add them to the Slack, and then onboard them with a welcome message, a team intro, a resource bookmark, and a contact link. Simple enough. So once we've got this, let's go ahead and send a message now. And what we can do is we can create a message. It can go into the name, which we know is it's going to be that _collab. And the text here is going to be just, hey dude, welcome to the team. Good luck. Something like that. Why not? And then now if I run this, let me pull up Slack real quick, and I'm going to pray that this doesn't make my machine implode. Let's see. Oh, you know what? I'm going to have to also add myself so that I can see what happens. So we've got Jordan in here, but we also need Tony in here. QRST. Oh, wait a minute. You know what? They definitely call me Anthony in here. Yup. There he is. There I am. All right. So now if I run this, ooh, we've got an issue with creating the Slack channel. Invalid name specials. Oh, it's because it doesn't like underscores. So we'll have to rename it to a dash. And if I'm renaming it there, I'm going to have to rename it in other places as well, because otherwise it just won't be obvious. Or, I mean, it'll create problems. Really just pushing my computer to the absolute limit right now. I'm getting a solid 5 frames per second on Chrome here. Okay. Should be all good. Let's go ahead and choose where to start, choose manually. We're going to select Jordan here. And let's run it. Ooh, internal error here. Ross's error. Internal error. Okay, let's find out why. Name, address, email. It might be this. It might be this. It's not clear, but name. Okay, let's see what test data it's working with. I'm not sure why it's using. Oop. Sorry, headphone users. Oh, it might be because the folder already exists. Because we did demo it on ROS already, so it might be throwing an error because it's trying to create a duplicate folder. So maybe it'll just run it with a proper. No, still not. Still trying to run it with Ross. Okay, let's just change Ross's email up. Let's say he's at Rossi. And his address is Plutor. And let's just duplicate him. And let's kill this original Ross. We don't need him anymore. Okay. Oh, still with the error. Internal error. Okay, the origin is from Google, but it is. Oh, you know what it is? It's probably the folder name. Probably does not like this folder name. So we'll just call it his name, just to make it super simple. Okay, not sure what's going on there. I'm just gonna go ahead and disconnect it and deal with it later. Yep, sometimes the build is messy, but it is what it is. Awesome, great. Invalid name specials. Okay, it also doesn't like dashes. So you know what? We're just not gonna do any. No dashes. Go ahead and remove, whoops. Go ahead and remove all of the dashes. Make sure it's uppercased. Make sure this is the right name. Well, actually, we don't even have to do that. We can specify the channel ID right here. So we have that property. All right. Still giving me a problem. Oh, I think I know why. I don't think it likes uppercase. Not a problem. We just have to lower everything. There we go. So it created the channel and had trouble inviting the users. Oh, because the channel name was incorrect. Nope, map is correct. We just have to select this channel ID. And we've got the user selected there. Okay, one more time. That's probably trying to, yep, create another channel. Okay, I see. So we're gonna need a brand new person. So let's duplicate myself. Tony copy is just fine. Let's remove everyone else to make this super easy. And then if we run this, this should run all the way through. So an invoice gets created, invoice item gets created, and not this. Ugh, the space is killing me. Sometimes it's just like... Sometimes that's all that development is. You're just kind of like trial and erroring it. Okay, what is the problem here? Can't invite self. Oh, that's funny. Okay, so I tried to invite myself, and it looks like that is impossible because I am the one creating the channel. Okay, if that's the case, there should be, these channels should be popping up on my Slack here. So let me go ahead and at least demonstrate that it's happening. So within Slack, there should be a Tony copy collab. So we know the channel exists, and there I am in the channel. We just need to get it to send the message. So we're going to do this one last time. We're going to duplicate this guy, call it Tony copy 2, 22, sure, that's fine. Make sure I don't invite myself, and send a message. Name taken. Oh, it's looking at this record. All right. Ooh, so close. Channel not found. And why might that be? Channel ID, that's the right one. Nope, that's the right channel. Channel ID or name. Parse message text. Whoops, it's got to be manual. Let's do it by name. Name normalized. Gonna have to do it one more time. Oof. All right, rather than dwell on this, let's just go ahead and finish this up. So if I've got this automation right here, based on our criteria, based on our criteria, we know that it updates and triggers once a new client enters our CRM. We generate a contract, we send the first invoice, we set up some Google Drive folders, we create a new Slack channel, we invite the team members and the clients to that Slack channel, and then we send them an onboarding message. Now, this didn't exactly work because there's some kind of annoying issues with finding this. Oh, it's probably this. You know what? It's fine. This is how the automation is going to look, and you would just turn it on and have it run every 15 minutes, hour, however you want to do it, and that'll pretty much entirely automate your onboarding flow. All right, I know there's only 2 of you in here. Does any of you have any questions? Otherwise, I'm going to wrap this up. LinkedIn automations. Any tips? Depends on what you want to do for LinkedIn. Some automations that I'm aware of is like posting content to LinkedIn. I know that's possible. But again, that's going to look different depending on what you're trying to do. Like, let's say you're trying to post written content, like generated content. You would first need a source. So maybe like, I don't know, a news article. You would run it through ChatGPT to maybe spin the article and add your own like branding and voice. And then there are, I think, a couple of services online you can find that will essentially act as your poster. And then I think you can just automatically publish to LinkedIn from that service. I'm not sure if LinkedIn has an API for publishing content directly, but there are certainly services that allow you to log in with your LinkedIn account and then post from there. That I know is a thing. You're welcome, Diego. Oh, and then that was the question. All right, if no one else has any questions, I think I'm going to jump. Yeah, I think that's it. Thanks for tuning in, for everyone who's still here. See you later.